freedom converge that we're planning to bring 7.2 million Nigerians into Abuja to occupy it until freedom goes back to the Nigerian people is motivated by a troubling, a deep crisis of elite. I mean, there are those who, I think, of it as a Tinubu problem, but it's much more than that, much worse. He may be a stimulant in some ways, but the crisis is deeper and much worse. And if we don't halt it, there will be no future, I can assure you. Now, Pastor Bakare, in enumerating some of the sources of that crisis as a Tinubu problem, has talked about state capture, which I've talked very often about. Has talked about judicial capture, maybe not so much about judicial capture, but the completely useless 10th National Assembly that we have. And he has talked about a push for one-man rule, a domination of society by a strong man. Those are symptoms.
And that is Professor Pat Utomi, who is the main organizer of this march. Well,
hello, my people. How on a day? Another one don't happen. A nationwide protest like never before is being planned. Former presidential candidate and founder for the Center for Values and Leadership, Professor Pat Utomi. Hello, my people. How on a day? Another one don't happen. A nationwide protest like never before is being planned. Former presidential candidate and founder of the Center for Values and Leadership, Professor Pat Utomi, is calling on Nigerians to rise up. He is asking Nigerians to rise up and march to Abuja. He says that democracy is under attack and poverty is deepening in this country. Now, he is saying that the elite have hijacked power, which seems to be true. Now, he's asking 7.2 million Nigerians to march on Abuja in what he calls the freedom convergence. Now, his message to Nigerians is, let's reclaim our country through a peaceful people power march, because enough is enough. These were his exact words. He's urging Nigeria to rise up and march to Abuja in order to reclaim their mandate. He's saying that this peaceful protest should be called freedom convergence. That is what he named it. Now he's saying that Nigerians are supposed to reclaim this country through what he calls a powerful march. He's saying that if Nigeria don't stand up and reclaim the country, that those elites who have hijacked power will keep messing up the country. Now let's look at this video.
To the National Assembly. It's potentially a massive spectacle that the organizers say would be seen from space and would serve as an eternal memorial to the day Nigerians said enough is enough. It's being organized by the founder of the Center for Values and Leadership and former presidential candidate, Professor Pat Utomi, who called it a protest to reclaim democracy, which he said was under assault in Nigeria and was leading to deepening poverty. To reclaim the land for the people, he said he was turning to the people and proclaiming a non-violent people power march before the end of the year to resist bad governance. So in a country where in the recent past activists have tried and failed to pull off a 1 million person march, how realistic is more than 7 million?
The freedom converge that we're planning to bring 7.2 million Nigerians into Abuja to occupy it until freedom goes back to the Nigerian people is motivated by a troubling, a deep crisis of elite. I mean, there are those who, I think, of it as a Tinubu problem, but it's much more than that, much worse. He may be a stimulant in some ways, but the crisis is deeper and much worse. And if we don't halt it, there will be no future, I can assure you. Now, Pastor Bakare, in enumerating some of the sources of that crisis as a Tinubu problem, has talked about state capture, which I've talked very often about. They talked about judicial capture, maybe not so much about judicial capture, but the completely useless 10th National Assembly that we have. And he has talked about a push for one-man rule, a domination of society by a strong man. Those are symptoms.
And that is Professor Pat Utomi, who is the main organizer of this march. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now on the line from Kaduna by Ibrahim Abdul Karim, who is Director General of the Big Tent, a coalition uniting political parties, social movements, civil society organizations, and candidate support groups, the so-called Third Force, and one of the organizers of this march. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Abdul Karim, for joining us. I mean, how on earth do you and your colleagues intend to mobilize 7.2 million people to come to Abuja to stage a massive protest?
Thank you, Mr. Charles. I think we are trying to even be very, very conservative of the people that we want to bring. Because the idea is that people voted and they expect that this democracy can bring succor to them. And then they send people to Abuja to represent them. That's mean if those people in Abuja cannot represent them, cannot give them, they cannot send their voices to Abuja, then I think it is time for Nigerians to march to that Abuja to represent themselves and also pursue what they want. As Mr. Pat Utomi has said, this is entirely an issue of the elite, that they couldn't have a consensus within themselves to allow the masses and the poor to breathe. That's where we are today. And we can see people have already lost hope. I was just listening to the last speaker. A whole governor with the mandate of people from PDP has already moved to another party at the center. That means we are moving towards one state government, which is not going to be healthy politically. So what people want is that, are we having what this democracy has promised to give Nigerians? The answer is no. Can we send a representative to talk in our behalf in Abuja? The answer is no. Are we happy with what the judiciary is doing? The answer is no. Are we happy with our politicians that are representing us, that feel that they need to have money to come and buy votes? The answer is no. Are we happy with the INEC itself when we have seen all what is happening? The answer is no. So what we want to do as in Big Tent, and also what we are planning for the Freedom Converge, is that we talk to people in various locations. We are going to meet them at their wards, and we are going to see the leaders. We are going to see any other group that we are aligning together with them, that we have to come out, leaders have to emerge, we have to bring ourselves to Abuja so that we can bring these policies. And we can sit in Abuja until they make those policies to be what we want. For example, if we want this reform, that they refuse to accept that these are some of the things that we are going to adjust in the INEC before the next election, including internal party policy and other things, then what do you expect us to do? We are not INEC, but INEC have commissioners that are representing people, but they are not doing what people want them to do. So what people will now do, and what we will convince Nigerians to do, is that forget about these politicians. They are not taking this message to the center. And the center has closed their ears. They are not listening. So what we'll do is that we march in the march of like every other people in the world will see.
Okay.
And I told you we are conservative with the number. Charles, if you look at the numbers, for example, the opposition that we had number of almost 14 million. If you divide the 14 million, you have how many? So we are not saying that we are taking everybody, but what we are saying that we are going to convince local people.
I don't know if you can hear me.
The farmers, the teachers.
Yeah, let me just come in there for a minute, because obviously this is a dialogue, not a monologue. So I don't mean to be rude, but I have to come in there so that we can have a sort of back and forth. I mean, you've told us about the point of the march, And I don't think, I think a lot of Nigerians would agree with the point of it, but the issue they have is with the number of people that you're trying to bring to Abuja. I mean, it's obviously a headline-grabbing figure, 7.2 million, but have you even thought of the logistical nightmare of trying to bring that many people to one city, beyond, in any case, the seeming impossibility of mobilizing that number?
Nothing is impossible, Mr. Charles, when you plan to do something. It's not about it. You don't stick yourself to the number. That's the target we give ourselves. If we bring 1 million, if we bring 7 million.
So Professor Pat Utomi is calling on Nigerians to reclaim their democracy peacefully but boldly. He believes that this country is facing a dangerous slide. He believes that poverty is rising and leadership has failed. Now he's asking 7.2 billion people in Abuja to demand for a change as they march to Abuja. Now he calls this march the freedom convergence. Now the question is, will the leaders listen to the people even if they march? Will Nigerians come out in their numbers for this peaceful march? But can this kind of protest really succeed in today's Nigeria? That is a question for all of us to answer. Now, what do you think? Is it time for Nigerians to stand up, or is this the dream of real democracy already slipping away? Do you think that Nigerians are willing to demand for a change? Do you think Nigerians are ready to reclaim their own mandate, or do you think that this call by Professor Pat Utomi is just him playing politics? Now, let us know what you think about this freedom convergence in the comment section below. Thank you.